Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Well, welcome to the Money Tip Podcast, presented by Fully Funded Life. My name is Joseph Sangle, and I'm fired up to help you, yes, you, live your fully funded life. And I am thrilled, fired up about this episode we're getting ready to bring you. It is episode number
223.
Episode number 223. And if you've listened to the podcast a while, you recognize a familiar voice that you haven't heard in a while. Megan, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. It is good to be back.
Yep, it's been a while. So you've went out for a while as you expanded your family from 3 to 5.
Yeah, it was impressive.
Yeah,
3 to
really
5.
impressive.
Most people don't go 3 to 5.
Have some twin boys. Do you want to tell everybody their names?
Yes. So we have Caleb, who is the older one by 2 minutes.
By 2 minutes.
By 2 minutes. And then we have Grayson, who is our little and last.
Okay. there we go. That sounded a little final there, but
It's very final.
so you are hashtag boy mom.
I am.
3 boys.
I always wanted a girl, but I'm good.
Yeah.
3 boys. Meant to be 3 boys. We're good.
That's awesome. You know, my twin brother, they had 3 boys.
Oh, yeah?
The 4th was a girl. It's awesome. Get fired up. Well, hey, I am so excited to be able to have you with me on the podcast again. It feels like it's back whole again. My thanks to Whitney, who sat in on so many episodes while you're out. Today, we're going to talk about what?
Yes. So today we're talking about when you should start investing for retirement. So for this month on the Monday Money Tip Podcast, we're talking about all things investing. So if you've been around for a while, you know October is our investing month where we really dive into investing. And so today's topic is when should you start investing for retirement?
That's a great challenge.
And maybe you're like, oh, I'm in my 20s. I need to tune out. You might be surprised.
And others maybe in their late 50s, early 60s and saying it's too late. Tune out.
Yeah.
Do not do that. The right time as an early news flash is immediately. That's when the right time to start investing. And we're going to talk about that in more detail. But before we do that, let's go to that great section of the podcast. You know what time it is. Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
The Monday Money Tip Podcast is sponsored by the Fully Funded Life Membership Program. The Fully Funded Life Membership Program provides all you need to begin winning with money and live a fully funded life. Fully Funded Life includes 4 key components: courses, challenges, coaching, and community. Courses provide financial education. Challenges help you make massive progress in a specific money skill. Coaching is provided by the Fully Funded Life Certified Coaches through open office hours held multiple times each month. All of the courses, challenges, and coaching results in an outstanding community that help equip, motivate, and encourage you to take your next financial steps toward your fully funded life. Fully Funded Life, courses, challenges, coaching, community. All that's missing is you. Learn more and receive a special offer for Monday Money Tip listeners today at fullyfunded.life/MMT. That's www.fullyfunded.life/MMT. All right, so for today's current money events section, we're talking about inflation. Have you heard about inflation lately?
I have not only heard about it, but I have felt it.
You have?
Yes.
How have you experienced inflation personally?
Your wallet every time you go to buy something. You know, use, gas is one thing, but even things like groceries, I'm literally buying the same groceries. We're pretty consistent with our groceries that we buy every week. And I'm buying the same things, but I don't know how it's equaling that.
Right. Like one of the things for me is like Philadelphia cream cheese, you know, the little bricks of that.
Yeah.
They're like triple the price they used to be. It's like, what in the world happened?
I don't know what happened to the chickens, but eggs went from 75 cents at Aldi to $3.50.
Yeah. All of a sudden it makes sense that I have chickens, you know, for a little while, that they're laying eggs. It's awesome. But inflation, you know, as I say, inflation is very deflating, you know, because when it eats your power of your dollar to buy things, went and bought a car battery with my daughter. She paid for it, get fired up for her own car repair. Isn't that awesome? But I remember when a car battery is $100. Well, it was like $230. It's just crazy. Same battery, you know, but inflation has happened. And when we looked at inflation and what's happening is the price of everything has went way up. And so I want to nerd out for a minute. Can I nerd out?
Do it.
There's something called the quantity theory of money.
Oh, we are.
Maybe we can pull it up if it's on YouTube. Yeah. What? You're like shocked that I'm going to nerd out here.
I didn't realize we were going that direction.
The quantity theory of money says that if you increase the money supply, people are less reticent to spend and they don't really care what they're spending because there's a lot of money available. And so that will always yield inflation. And then to control inflation, well, they have to increase rates because the higher the rates, the less people want to borrow because it's more punitive, and that will decrease the money supply. And as a result of decreased money supply, that creates more competition for all the remaining vendors of all the goods and services, which means prices will deflate and come back down. And then to get it going again, they have to decrease rates, which will increase money supply. And there we go. Yeah. This is a well-known, accepted practice of what happens with economic theory. Well, if you think about what happened in early 2020, we had the CARES Act.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody got money. I mean, we just bathed the nation in money.
It was like Oprah.
It was everybody gets some money. Everybody gets some money. Everybody gets some money. You get money. It was thousands. And then it was like, hey, everybody has babies in the house. You get, $300 a month or $250 a month, depending on their ages. And you get it every month for 6 months. Nobody's mad about that. It just showed up in your bank account. And then we had this moment where we had what we affectionately refer to around here as the Trump parting gift. It was $600 per member of your family. And then the Biden bucks showed up and topped that up to another $1,400 per person in the family. And it meant $10K or more for the average family of 4. Well, that increased the money supply. So everybody knew that inflation was coming. Well, the Federal Reserve, which controls rates, they were way behind the curve. And I don't think it was a wrong thing to do because we were in unprecedented times. But as a result, inflation got out of control. They were too late increasing rates. We saw it. One of the most prolific ways was housing prices. Yeah. Why was housing prices going up? Because people don't care what they're paying for the house. Right. They don't care. Most people don't care. They care about how much is the monthly payment.
Right.
And because interest rates were so low, 2.5% for a 30-year note, insane. So people were able to pay more. The same dollar bought a higher purchase price. Well, now as the Federal Reserve has increased rates and now mortgages are nearing 6.5%, well, all of a sudden, that same dollar can't buy the same amount of house. So now we're seeing pressure on the prices of houses. The housing market has definitely slowed way down. And that's a very good thing because if you allow inflation to run out of control, then the American dream becomes unapproachable for most people. And so that's why it's very important that we pay attention to inflation and you pay attention to the Federal Reserve. I know many of you have insomnia. Listen to the update from the Federal Reserve and Jay Powell, but it absolutely has a profound effect on Main Street America and middle class America. Everybody is affected by it. And so now the whole approach is, will the Federal Reserve go too far in raising rates and pitch us into too severe of a recession? Or will they be able to do what they call a soft landing to where the economy can still grow, even though grow slower? That wage growth will be able to catch up a little bit, but not go out of control and contribute to more inflation. So what I would say to everyone, and I've referenced this before, if you are a saver and you have the ability to put away some money for 1 year, I encourage you to check out the I-bonds. So the I-bonds from treasurydirect.gov. And they re-rate them. They're going to re-rate them at the end of this month in about 16 days from the release of this podcast, October 26th. But right now, as we're recording this podcast, those I-bonds are paying 9.62% interest. Wow. Because they're indexed to inflation. You can put up to $10,000 per person with a Social Security number in your family against it. It's free of state and local taxes, but you have to pay federal taxes on it, and you have to leave it there 1 year. It's a way for your money to keep up with the tremendous inflation that has happened. So that's it for today's current money events section. Sponsored by $3.50 a dozen eggs at Aldi.
Yeah, the price has come down a little bit, but now you're like excited when it's like $2.50.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know, the chicken, is it golden egg in there? I'm not sure.
Have you found one?
Not yet. Not yet. All right, our success story today comes from Keith, who is still learning and growing in the area of personal finance. Keith said, I'm living proof that you can teach an old dog new tricks. I went to your seminar so you could teach my wife the error of her ways on her Visa use. This is really funny. After all, for 32 years we have been married, I had used the multiple account method to keep track of savings. We had always tithed. I paid the credit card statement in full each month. We have always saved, and I can show you my ledger for every bill I've paid back to 1980. That's dedication.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yep. So you really couldn't teach me anything about personal finance. I love it. I could not have been more wrong. Somewhere in the seminar, it hit me that if I'm doing everything right, why do my wife and I argue about spending every time the credit card bill arrives? For 32 years, I was not doing a budget. I was doing an expense statement. By not planning expenditures in advance, I was actually endorsing credit card use. To put it in your words, that was an awesome revelation. Immediately following the seminar, my wife and I went home, prayed on successfully being good stewards of God's gifts,
awesome.
Downloaded your worksheet, and created our first true budget together. It worked great. I called the credit card company and got my full outstanding balance and paid it off totally. We budgeted to exactly zero and used our debit card rather than a credit card throughout the month. And the most interesting note, we saved more, had more money left in the checkbook, and are not concerned about a big credit card bill.
This is just awesome. This fires me up.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many things that stand out to me in this. Number one, he brought his wife to teach her the error of her ways. That's humorous.
About the Visa use.
Yeah, and he's got unbelievable records. I mean, unbelievable records since 1980. I mean, that's just unbelievable. So here's what I know is he had a revelation. And the reason he had a revelation is he put himself in a place to get a revelation.
That's good.
And I think it's important that we all be committed to being a continual learner. I think to be a continual learner is an acknowledgement that there's no way that I can know everything.
Yeah.
And there's always ways to learn more. And because of that, he had more of an open mind than he thought he did. And he had this aha moment. And now he and his bride are sitting each and every month having a conversation about the future, not yelling about what happened in the recent past. Yeah. Isn't that awesome?
That is awesome.
I don't know what Keith's wife's name is, but I can tell you right now, I guarantee you she's the happiest of all. Right?
Yeah.
It's I remember this moment as a kid, you know, that my dad would yell at my mom for spending too much at the grocery store or whatever. And it was really because of financial pressures in the household, and they didn't have a budget. And, you know, she's kind of looking around like, you know, there's 6 boys here. They eat us out of house and home. Like, it should not surprise you that I'm going to spend money, a lot of money at the grocery store.
Yep.
But when they got together, that stuff went away. And that same thing is what Keith is writing about. That is awesome. Way to go, Keith, and Keith's wife. Get fired up. That's what we hope to do. We hope to plant. We cannot run people's finances for them. But what we can do is provide catalytic moments, encouragement, help, hope, and some practical tools to help them in their own journey. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Way to go.
That's awesome. All right. So for our question for today, our topic is, when should you start investing for retirement?
Yes. When? When should you?
Now. Yesterday.
Yes. It's like the Johnny Appleseed statement, right? When is the best time to plant an apple tree? Do you know? 20 years ago. The next best time? Today. I like it. So, you know, everything goes back to the Fully Funded Life Ladder. So we're going to put it up on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll get to see it. We encourage you to check it out on YouTube. You get to see everything goes on behind the scenes, including the start of this podcast, which was a little wackadoodle. But here's what I will tell you. You know, we haven't done a podcast for a while. So
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah. But, you know, when you look at the Fully Funded Life Ladder, the question is, where are you in your journey to live your fully funded life? And so when we look at the ladder, rung 1 is to set goals. Rung 2 is to put away savings, that emergency fund of at least 1 month's worth of expenses. Save 1 month's worth of expenses. And then as soon as you get to rung 3, well, that starts investing.
Yep.
So it's to get enough to get the company match or $100 a month, whichever is greater. And now when you get that rolling, you go to rung number 4, pay off all of your non-house, non-business debt. Rung 5 is to build your savings that you started in rung 2 at 1 month's worth. You build it to a minimum of 3 months. Now it could be 5 months, 6 months. And then you go to rung number 6, which is to do what?
Yep. So rung 6, you're placing 15% of gross income into tax-advantaged investments.
Right. And so that's an ongoing commitment. You go to 15% of your income, regardless of the match. Then any extra dollar, you can do rung 7, pay off the house and business debt if you have it. And then you ultimately go to rung 8, really on your way to living a fully funded life now.
Yeah.
And what is rung number 8?
Yeah. So rung number 8, you're paying 30%
Of your gross income.
into tax advantage investments.
Right. And so the ladder, everything goes back to the ladder. It just goes back to the ladder. Ladder makes sense. You climb the ladder how? One
Rung at a time.
right? Do you skip rungs?
No.
Like, have you ever climbed a ladder and tried to skip rungs?
Yes.
Like,
It's not very successful.
It usually.
Okay.
So what I would just say is, there's an important word to pay attention to today, and that word is invest, right? Investing for retirement. The question is, when should you start investing for retirement? And so a lot of people, they interchange those words of saving and investing. But when we think of the word saving and investing, what are the differences? Like when you think of saving and investing, like what are the differences between those two activities?
Well, I mean, when you're saving for something, we usually say within 5 years. If you're investing it, you're investing more for long term. But saving, you're not going to make a great return on something.
Right.
You might be getting a percentage in your Ally or your Marcus account, but you're not growing to the 12% like you could be in an investment account. So it's more for, hey, I need to buy a car in the next 3 years. Okay, I'm putting money in there and I'm saving. Okay, for retirement, I'm not going to retire it's going to be a long time till I retire. And so I'm needing to invest in. I'm needing to put it a little bit more at risk. I'm needing it to grow a little bit more. I'm needing
Absolutely.
it to make more progress for me to work while I'm not working.
Right. So it saving, you could almost put an F in there and you're safing. Safing.
Yeah.
It's safe. It's for safekeeping. Right. It's for storage. Like if you're saving something for later, you're not expecting it to grow. You're keeping it there for preservation. And so that's what I want everybody to pay attention to. Both of saving and investing, they have similarities in that they indicate the accrual or building of wealth, of net worth. But there's a substantial difference in the activities of saving and investing. And so saving is for safekeeping, preservation, protection. Now, how about you take the investing side? What is investing for?
So investing would be growing, expanding, multiplying.
Right.
You're having this ideally
expansion,
bigger return. You're creating more
exponential growth.
Hockey stick.
Yeah. Now, saving indicates safety and little to no risk. But investing does what?
So there's some risk, in some case, substantial risk, maybe.
Right.
You never know. I mean,
have you ever lost money in an investment?
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone, in 2020, everyone kind of went down a little bit,
And the retirement accounts have went down over the last year as inflation went up and everybody got freaked out about it. But you haven't sold, so you still own.
Yes.
Right? And so I think it's very important to talk about the 5-year rule here. And you referenced it. So since you referenced it, you get to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a rule that we have. It's not a hard and fast rule. Some people might have interchanging the different amounts of year, but usually we say if you're going to spend the money within 5 years, you're going to put it in savings. So it's safekeeping. So you need to buy a car. You need to buy a new sofa. You're buying something that might cost some substantial money, or might not, but
could be a vacation a couple years from now, appliance.
Yeah, something like that, where you're putting money in there. Maybe monthly you're adding to it, but it's not growing significantly. Maybe you're getting the 2% interest. But if you're using it long term, so maybe you're thinking, okay, in 10 years, we're going to buy this second vehicle. You're saving for the one right now, but in 10 years, the next vehicle is going to need to be replaced. Or you need college, or you need to buy a bigger house and you have a few years, 7 years, so you're going to buy or something like that. That money you are putting in investing because you can have more of a risk, but it's going to ideally bring more of a profit because it's going to expand and multiply at a greater rate.
And the reason we've chosen 5 years, not just pulled it out of the sky, it's because 97% of any 5-year period of the stock market has made money. So we took the 3% gamble and said, okay, 5 years, let's invest it. And if you think about one of the reasons that we say once it's 5 years, it's important to invest it is inflation. And it's become even more of a thing because inflation erodes the power of your dollar to buy stuff. And so by investing it, you have a better chance of keeping pace and exceeding the power of inflation. Really important. So if it's just saved, it's not going to keep up with inflation. Your money will slowly deflate. And we do have an episode where we talk about this save versus invest and the differences in them in episode number 205. Yeah. We'll be able to link that in the show notes.
Yeah, we can link that. It's a great episode trying to figure out if you're trying to decide, am I supposed to save right now? Am I supposed to invest right now? If you need more of a, like, can we talk about that topic a little bit more? Check that episode out because we really go into depth on that.
So, I think it's important to make a note to parents or grandparents who are listening. I want you to ask the question, what would it like to help guide your children or your grandchildren to be investors early in life? My children, all three of them, have started investing by the age of 9 years old. My youngest, who just recently turned 9, she started when she was 8. And all the others by the time they were 9. And we set up these custodial accounts with Schwab.com. It's really easy. And custodial law is different based on the state you live in. They, depending on the state you're in, and Schwab can clearly tell you which it is for your state, at age 18, 19, or 21, that money will become fully theirs. In the meantime, you are the adult custodian of the account. But it's my kids' money, and I've had them buying and selling stocks and mutual funds within it. And the reason I did that is I want them to get familiar with that weird feeling of, oh, I could lose some money here. Yeah. But, oh, I could also make money. And that is not a fun feeling. And it's really hard for an 8-year-old to feel it. They're like, no, I don't want to lose money. I'd rather go spend it now. Yeah. But being able to show them over time, it's a really, really big thing because I urge all of our listeners, hey, what are you doing to take this stuff that you wish you had known at an earlier age to impress it on your children and your grandchildren? I mean, there are so many great tools that are right at your fingertips these days. You don't have to go to talk to anybody. There's no $75 trading fees anymore. Yep. You don't have to meet with a broker. It's all right there at your fingertips. And of course, we at Fully Funded Life like to help guide you along the way as a member of Fully Funded Life.
Yep.
So let's list some things that when we're here at Fully Funded Life, I was broke, now I'm not, that we never hear in our conversations. Like list some of those thoughts.
So I've never heard, I really regret investing early in my life.
Yeah. I've never had somebody over here say, I need counseling. I invested too early. Yeah. That's just humorous, isn't it?
Most people that invested too early are like, thank goodness I invested too early.
They're like praising the Lord. They don't even know why they did it. Yeah. A lot of times, So that's things we never hear. So we want you to say it. We want you to be the first to say it that says, man, I really regret saving way too early. Okay. Here's some other things we never heard. What is it?
I have invested way too much money for retirement.
Yes, I have put too much money away for retirement. Man, I really despise having so much money in my retirement accounts. Seems really foreign, right?
Yeah, and maybe you're thinking, well, I don't know how much money I'm going to need. Well, we have a calculator that can help determine how much money you'll need for retirement so that you know how much you're saving. So
that's right.
We'll link that as well.
Yes, that's right. It's a lot of fun, calculator.
Yep.
Okay, one more line. Give them one more line.
One more. I don't like having $1 million in my retirement account.
Yeah, I don't like having $1 million in my retirement. I hate being a part of the 2 comma club. Have you heard that? That's the 2 comma club. Get fired up. But listen, I'm here to tell you right now, we want you to be able to say this. We want you to be able to say it in the positive way. Hey, I have $1 million in my retirement account, and you can smile. Yeah. I invested a lot of money early in retirement. Not too much, but I am so glad I did start early. That's what we want to hear. That's why we're here with this podcast every single Monday, is to challenge each of you to be a catalyst, really. We cannot do this for you. We cannot live this for you. But what we can do is give you practical tips, some tools, some encouragement, and be a catalyst for you to make really good money decisions for your life. And so when is the right time to retire?
To retire?
Yeah.
Or to save?
Reframe the question. What is the right time to retire? Maybe we can answer that later. What is the right time to start investing for retirement? Now. There we go. Great. Okay, so we have a quote. What is that for today?
I like this quote. It says, how many millionaires do you know who have become wealthy by investing in savings accounts? I rest my case. And that's Robert G. Allen.
Yeah, an investor. And that's a really good statement. It really speaks to saving, the activity of saving or investing.
Yeah.
So, hey, I really do encourage you. So what are your action items that you could take from today? Hey, set up a custodial investing account for your children or grandchildren. Teach them how to start this. If you have savings, man, I encourage you to check out those I-bonds. It'll be a great way for you to be able to keep pace with inflation. Those are two practical things you could do right now to be able to be one of those people who says, I do have 2 commas in my retirement account. Tell everybody what we're going to talk about in our next episode.
Yes. So next, we're talking about investing in a legacy with a special guest.
Yes, I was able to interview an executive pastor at a church down in Florida, Brandon Cato of Christ Fellowship Church there in Palm Beach. And it is just incredible. The story, his personal journey of generosity, personal journey of investing. And so I asked him to be a part of the podcast. He agreed to be a part of it. Man, it was awesome. We've already had that interview. I can't wait to share it with you all. So be ready to see it. If you're watching on YouTube, hey, click subscribe. Leave a comment. What is the one thing that you're going to do? And hey, will you leave a comment and welcome Megan back to the podcast? That is awesome. And hey, if you have been benefited from this podcast, will you share it with somebody today? Maybe with your parents so that they maybe will think about custodial accounts for your kids, their grandkids. That'd be awesome. Self-serving kind of, but also great. And think about the 5-year rule. Do you have money that's sitting around that you know you're not going to use in the next 5 years, but it's just sitting around in a savings account? Hey, consider investing it. You'll be so glad you did. And if you've implemented one of our tips, share your success story with us. You can do that on any social media outlet or email it to us at info@iwbnin.com. That is info@iwbnin.com. Hey, have a great Monday, everybody. Get fired up.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.